Good evening, sim racing fans across the globe, and welcome to round 20 of 23 in the regular season for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. Tonight, live from the Irish Hills of Michigan International Speedway, we bring you in and get set to rock and roll as we kick off the run to the chase. I'm Jacob Seelman alongside Bryce Whitson Jr. as we get set to call all the action tonight around the 2-mile speedway, where fuel mileage is always a factor and a lot of things can go right or wrong in a hurry. So we welcome you inside the Inside Sim Racing broadcast tower. And Bryce Whitson, no stranger to RSR. You've run in this series before. First time with us in the broadcast booth for the big show on Monday nights, as we call it. A welcome to you, but also you get a little bit of a different perspective tonight. Get to get the whole picture, the bird's eye view, as we call it up here in the broadcast tower, and looking forward to a lot of fun here tonight. About 6 minutes or so left in qualifying, but you know, it's like we said right at the drop, fuel mileage may well be the key to victory lane tonight, not necessarily speed in your race car.
Well, thank you much for having me up here, Jacob. This is going to be a lot of fun. I've run a couple races with these guys this year. I ran quite a few last year, and you know, here at Michigan, it's a very fast track. The draft's going to be important, and just like you said, fuel mileage is going to be key. You know, my initial calculations show that they can make somewhere between 40 and 45 laps on fuel, and you know, we're looking at a 90-lap race, so potentially if we get some long green flag runs, some guys could try to do something here on fuel strategy.
If we go green all the way through the first half of this race, I know you and I were discussing it before we came on the air, but is it possible to see somebody try and milk it, maybe make it on one pit stop tonight?
I race in a couple leagues, and earlier last week I did a race here with 50% fuel, and I made it 22 laps on a tank of gas, and I ran out coming out of turn 4. So, you know, with full fuel, it'd be very possible for somebody to make it a full 45 laps, but they'd have to start saving right from the get-go and hope that they could keep enough speed in the car to not go too far down to make up that one pit stop.
Looking at the qualifying charts with about 4 minutes to go, 38.539, the mark to beat right now. No surprise, the driver on top of the board is the Steel Horse Racing number 89 machine of Jeff Ward. Jeff, Bryce, I know you've seen it before, always a threat, whatever car he's in, whatever series he's in. He's been the hot hand in RSR this season, picked up a win earlier in the year, looking for that second one, and that 89 car is one tough customer, especially on these intermediate tracks where his entire team has had speed all season long. His teammate Thomas George, a 3-time winner on the intermediates this year.
Yeah, Jeff's definitely a fast driver, especially on the 1.5 miles and the long tracks. You know, he's even really good at the short tracks. Little known fact, Jeff's actually from my hometown down near in Louisville, Kentucky, and you know, him and I have raced on some of the same tracks in real life as well as here on iRacing. So it'll be exciting to see what he can do, especially starting out front like that, hopefully tonight.
We know he's going to be starting up on the grid. Couple more names to keep an eye on tonight. Matt Lacrosse just jumped up to third quick in the 21 machine. We've seen him be good here in the Asphalt Assault Xfinity Series and the Outlaw Truck Series with RSR in the past. But, you know, Boomtown Sim has had a hot hand of late, and they've got 3 cars in the top 10 right now. Corbin Hemstreet 4th, Anthony DeBarro 9th, Mitch Rollo 10th. All 3 of them have gotten their first career Full Throttle Cup Series victories at some point over the past 4 races, 3 in the past 4 races, and they are locked in to the chase for the championship in some form or fashion. So we know they're going to be good, and we'll take you through the field and talk with our in-race reporter, 3-time season winner David Comstock in just a couple of moments. Right now, though, we're going to throw it down trackside as we get set to roll and honor America through tonight's opening ceremonies. Let's go trackside.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
And we bring you back topside as we are just about set to conclude qualifying here for tonight's 90-lap, 180-mile race here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. And we know it's going to be a fun show tonight. We also know that it's going to be a little bit of a wild show because you never know exactly how the strategy is going to play out. But the pure Michigan 180, going to be a lot of fun to watch. Jeff Ward, it looks like, is going to come home with the pole. Couple of drivers on their final runs, including defending race winner Scott Stenzel in the Exalta number 42 machine, was 12th, and that is where he will stay. So as the red and black flags come out to conclude qualifying, it does look like Jeff Ward will claim the pole position here tonight at the Michigan International Speedway. And Bryce, we'll go ahead and run down the starting grid here tonight on LSRTV as we get set to roll, because it is certainly one that is stacked with a lot of familiar names to the RSR community. 35 cars strong in qualifying. On the pole with a lap of 38.539 seconds, going to be that 89 machine of Jeff Ward, and we'll reverse the car number to the outside pole. Just about 2 100ths off was the guy who was 11th in practice, the 98 David Washington.
In the second row on the inside, we've got the number 21 of Matt Lacrosse, and on the outside in fourth position, we've got the number 69 of Corbin Hemstreet.
Inside of row number 3, the 1 of Thomas George goes with 99 of Dylan Jones, who showed a lot of speed here in the last couple of races, a rookie to RSR.
Inside row 4, we have the number 13 of Dwayne Vincent, and on his outside, we have the number 9 of Anthony DeBarro.
And we'll throw Daniel Eberhard in there for good measure. Rounding out the top 10, going to be Mitch Rollo in the 96. In 11th, you'll see the rest of the starting grid on your screen, but in 11th is where we find tonight's in-race reporter, and we'll see if we dial him up really quickly. The Monster Energy number 14 Chevrolet of 3-time season winner David Comstock. David, Jacob Zillman up in the LSRTV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you. What's up?
All right. We know Bryce and I have been talking about it here in the broadcast booth. We know fuel mileage is going to play a factor, but we also know you've got a very fast car on these bigger racetracks. You were strong at Fontana earlier in this season, and we know how similar that track is to this one here in Michigan. So what's it going to take, speed or strategy, to go to victory lane tonight?
It depends on how the cautions fall. If there's little cautions, we can do it maybe on speed. Just got to take care of the car first and foremost. If we get a lot of cautions, then we might start mixing strategies up here.
You've got a fast car, but you're also starting a little bit further back than we've seen you all season long. In 11th, we're so used to you qualifying up in the top 10. Is it going to be tough for you trying to navigate traffic in the early stages?
Yeah.
I mean, how soon do you want to get to the front tonight?
Well, I mean, we're going to take our time, but we don't want to try to stay back here too long. We want to get towards the front as soon as possible. The draft is very important here, so we'll be using that to our advantage, try to keep up and work our way forward.
And you know how it is. We get some cautions. We'll be talking to you throughout the race about strategy and how your race is playing out right now. We'll let you get ready to rock and roll, and wish you the best of luck in that Chevrolet here tonight.
All right, thank you guys. Enjoy the show.
Bryce, before we go green, couple of notables outside the top 10 in qualifying, mainly the guy that I'm looking at in 16th, defending series champ Eric Brundys, and 17th right there with him, the number 8 of 2013 champ Chad Kolg. Maybe a long road for both of them to hoe here tonight.
That's for sure. Starting outside that top 10 is definitely going to be a disadvantage to him. But, with the draft around this place, anything's possible. coming up off that corner and pulling a little bit of draft on somebody and pulling to the inside, especially going down into 3 and 4, you can really make up some positions. So I'd look for them to make some moves here at the starting laps of the race and try and pick off a few before they all get strung out.
And we know if they get strung out how difficult it is to pass. Where do you go? Bottom, top? I mean, is this one of those tracks where you can utilize a different lane than besides burying it to the bottom?
You know, for me, I prefer the outside at this track. Maybe stay up about a groove or groove and a half off the bottom race line. So up about the 2.5 seam on the track. But you know, you can really run wherever you want and wherever you can make speed for the time being.
And we know it's going to be fun to watch all the way through this race tonight. We're getting set to roll, and we're glad you're with us here on LSRTV as Jeff Ward and David Washington bring the field through turns 3 and 4. Ford Mustang pace car heads for pit road. The American Ethanol green flag goes in the air, and we are underway for the start of the Pure Michigan 180 here from Michigan International Speedway. Big jump for the 89 of Jeff Ward, and Bryce, he'll lead the field with about 4 car lengths in hand to turn 1.
Yeah, that was a great start there by Jeff Ward. You know, that's gonna really pay dividends for a couple of laps. But I'll watch to see that 98 of David Washington really pull up on him as I said before, the field's just kind of stringing him out. You know, our first 2 wide battle right now is about 20th position. So you know, they got single file real quick.
They did get single file in a hurry. You're not seeing a whole lot going on. The 90 of Daniel Everhart trying to take a peek to the outside of the one of Thomas George. He goes topside, and they may go door to door in turn number 1. George slams the door in that snap-on Chevrolet, and Scott Stenzel makes a look for the outside off turn 2. So already these guys are looking for grip wherever they can find it, and Thomas George, Bryce, lost a ton of grip. He got way loose off turn 2.
Yeah, and he's going to lose that momentum going into turn 3, and he probably did the smart thing there and just let the 96 of Mitch Rollo go going down into that corner, because you know, he doesn't have anything to gain right now, and as this race goes on, he'll thank himself for saving those tires just a little bit, trying to stick it on the outside this early in the race.
You mentioned the draft, and right now that 98 of David Washington is marching up towards the back deck lid of the 89 of Jeff Ward. The gap was 4 car lengths. It is now 1 car length as they work down the back straightaway and headed for turn number 3. Unical in the 89 out front. Last place Motorsports in the 98 rides second, and you can't ever forget about the quick car entry in that lacrosse. He almost won here a couple of years ago in RSR Full Throttle Cup Series competition, riding third, and these 3 trying to make a little bit of a breakaway from the field. They're already trying to split things up, and a battle for 7th between the 96 of Mitch Rollo, the 1 of Thomas George, back there around 7th and 8th position.
Yeah, that's for sure. It looks like the 96 gets a really good run up off the corner, and he's really using the draft to his advantage a lot of times. But he's just not quite being able to get there and make the pass, as the number 9 of Anthony DeBargo looked to the inside of the 96 there of Mitch Rollo. And, you know, it just seems like guys are really getting a good run going down the straightaway, but going into the corner, they're just not able to hang on to it. Nobody's willing to get out of that main groove right now.
Our in-race reporter, David Umstock, told me before the start of this race he thought turn 4 would be Calamity Corner. And though we haven't seen anybody break completely loose just yet, that is, I think, what we're seeing so far is kind of the harbingers of that incident. So we'll keep an eye on the 3 and 4 end of the racetrack as we continue to watch the top 6 try to break away. Jeff Ward, David Washington, Matt Lacrosse, Corbin Himstreet, and Dwayne Vincent in that front 6, with Daniel Everhart trying to make some moves back in the pack, but the battle is on for the podium. 3rd spot under siege as the 99 of Dylan Jones looks inside of Matt Lacrosse, headed for turn 1, Bryce. He's going to have that preferred lane.
Yeah, the 99 made a great move there going into turn 1. And the
Whoa,
21
hang
gets a
on,
little
trouble. Matt
sideways.
Lacrosse almost breaks loose, and I think you were just getting ready to say it. We both saw it right there. Bryce Lacrosse completely breaking sideways off turn 2, and it, like we're talking about, no grip.
Yeah, and that's been an issue at Michigan before. Coming off the corner, the car can get a little loose on you there, and can spin around on you. But that was a great save there by Matt Lacrosse. Unfortunately, he lost a ton of time and a ton of momentum. It moved him all the way back to the 11th position on the track. So he's going to have a lot of work to do now to get back up to the front of the field.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of work to do right now, a lot of ground to make up, but no ground to make up for the man out front. Jeff Ward started from pole and has dominated the early stages of this race. We're coming to complete lap number 7. Ward still has a car length in hand over David Washington. Then it's Dylan Jones, Corbin Himstreet, and Dwayne Vincent. The rest of the top 5 as we complete 14 of 180 miles. Still a long way to go here in the Pure Michigan 180, and LSRTV will bring you from green to checker. We're going to do some business, though, right now, and come back with more from the Irish Hills in just a moment. From Michigan International Speedway, this is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Did you know that Lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
Vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in Terminal and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continent, including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. Truckload shipments, show freight. We do rush team service delivery and haul you refrigerated or heated. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSRTV in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Jacob Seelman leading the call for tonight's Pure Michigan 180 along with Bryce Whitson. And just as we were going to commercial, we had a change for the lead. Bryce and Jeff Ward took a little bit of a higher arc in number 3. It gave the inside line to David Washington in the 98, and that machine has pulled out to a car length advantage over the steel entry of Dylan Jones in second. So the 98 and the 99 now run 1-2. They've dropped the Unical entry of Jeff Ward back to third, and I think we're seeing this shuffle kind of play out. If you get I lane at least early, you're going to be going backwards for a little bit.
Yeah, that's for sure, Jacob. And a big thing is if anything happens to you to break your momentum whatsoever, you're gonna go back real quick. While we were at commercial break there, we saw Scott Stenzel get just a little bit loose coming off of turn 4, and he didn't lose a ton of speed, and he had a beautiful save coming down to the start-finish line, but he dropped from about 5th all the way back to 18th by the time he could get his momentum back up. So that's going to be a big deal here tonight, is to keep that momentum and keep going as best as you can, and make sure that you don't have to tap those brakes or get out of the throttle for more than a split second.
And I think you would correct me if I were wrong here, but I think we're already seeing just how important track position really is, because save for Matt Lacrosse, who had his little issue down the back straightaway and dropped outside the top 10. Everybody in the top 10 that started there is now inside the top 9 positions, and we're really not seeing a lot of people make up ground, save for maybe the 23 of Greg Evans, who's picked up 4 spots, but he started 18th. These top 10 guys are, really they've stayed there since the drop of the green flag, so we're seeing how hard it is to pass here at MIS.
Yeah, it's definitely showing some difficulty to pass here, as we've got a battle for position 9 between Anthony DeBarro and Daniel Eberhardt here. They've been going back and forth the last couple of laps, and it seems like, again, whichever one of them gets a little bit of a run on the other can make a pass, but you lose so much momentum on that lower side trying to get back in the gas that you just lose the position again.
And we're gonna continue watching that ebb and flow all night. It's all about who's got position and who doesn't. And like you said to me before the drop of the green flag tonight, is that slightest of looks to the inside of the left rear quarter panel, and as soon as you get that look, you're gonna bog the guy that you're chasing down and be able to pull up alongside. The hardest part is, once you get battling with somebody, making sure you stay clear of them, because the longer you run side by side, the quicker these guys that are ahead of you will get away, Bryce, and that's going to be you want to get held up too long trying to pass somebody.
Well, you don't want to get held up trying to pass somebody, and also the guy that you're passing wants to realize that it's probably not in his best interest at this time in the race to really be throwing it in there and trying to keep you from getting around him. If somebody's faster than you right now, you just want to let them go. I've been watching Eberhardt back here. He just lost 8th position to Mitch Rollo, and that's pretty much what happened. Mitch looked on the inside of Daniel Eberhardt.
Yeah, battled. Speaking of side-by-side battles, battle back in the pack, found the 15 of Scott Simley. This is back 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th right now. A huge battle between Thomas Lattimore, Scott Simley, Sean Casto, Nick Silver, this whole pack back here. You want to look where the action is, Bryce? It's quiet up front, but back here around the mid-20s right now is where they're mixing it up.
That's for sure. They had a nice little run there going. We've got the 41 on the outside of the 36 back here for 27th and 28th. Then we've got a 2x2 right here with the 52 and the 34 and the 15 passing the 03. Thinking about that 03 of Thomas Lattimore, he's just been dropping back here this entire race. I don't really know what's been going on with him, but he's been dropping back every lap.
Yeah, he's just not had the pace so far tonight. And now you look at a 3-man fight. Sean Bounty on the outside, the Alpenstars, number 15 of Scott Simley, making a move to the inside of the racetrack. And you've got the 52 of Sean Casto right there. They are all going at it as we complete 18 and start working lap number 19. This is the battle that just won't quit down to turn number 1. Finally, Bounty's going to have to give it up. He'll lose the second of those 2 spots to the 15 of Scott Simley, drop back to position 23, and behind them, the 42 of Scott Stenzel, the 03 of Thomas Lattimore. They're still going at it, and Stenzel, Bryce, is one of those cars that we saw a problem a little bit earlier on in this race.
Yeah, it's real interesting seeing Scott back here in the back of the pack, because we know he's faster than what he's showing right now. He was able to run with those leaders, but now that he's back here marred in traffic, he's having a lot of trouble getting around guys. He doesn't have anybody pushing him. He doesn't really have anybody in front of him. They're just all pretty much strung out, so he just can't make up those track positions. In fact, since he got in the grass there a little bit, he's actually dropped another 7 positions from where he came back up on the track. So this is definitely indicative.
We're going to take a look, you go double camera here. We're going to take a look at the on-rig camera for the 11 of Jonathan Cadell, one of the Steel Horse Racing competitors. And Cadell, one of those guys that hasn't really been able to have a lot of luck early on in the going. He's backed up from 14th to 17th on the racetrack right now, some 4 seconds behind the race leader, David Washington. Now, this is really a look, Bryce, for those who may not be really familiar with the whole concept of sim racing, besides the fact that you do it on a computer, I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it, and this is a look inside it so that, you know, some of our other fans and audience out there gets a real good look at how physical this really is for these drivers.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, especially with the newer rigs that everybody's running and some of the more advanced steering wheels today, you know, we're outputting anywhere from 10 to 12 newton meters of force on these steering wheels, which for a NASCAR car like these, that's close to about 50% of what a real driver feels during the race. As we see there, the number 8 of Chad Cole just took a really good look there on the inside of the 23 of Greg Evans. They're really starting to heat up there in front of Jonathan Cadell. That's going to be a good battle here. As he pulls right up behind Greg and gets him just a little bit loose coming off that corner, and Chad Cole's going to go to the inside. Now again, this is one of those cases where he's just not going to have the momentum on that low side to make that pass.
You want to talk about drivers with momentum. Another driver with momentum is the driver who started on the pole, got shuffled back, but now we've had a change for second. Just a lap ago, Jeff Ward back around the 99 of Dylan Jones, and here comes the Unical machine, as we call him, the Bluegrass Bandit. Jeff Ward on the move again in that 89 car. He's closing in on David Washington for the top spot. Bryce, it's a car length between the two as they work off turn 4, and I don't know what exactly Jeff's found, but he's found some momentum, and he's closing on that lead once again.
In other races I've run with Jeff, I've seen him be really good about saving his stuff, and especially here at Michigan, where you've got the draft to help keep you up in the pack, you can actually back off a little bit and save a lot of tire to have something for the middle of the run. You know, right now we're somewhere in the center of a run. We're running lap times about a second slower than what they were at the beginning of the race. So, you know, if Jeff saved just a little bit there at the beginning, he's going to be able to use it right now. As he takes a look down to the inside of the number 98 of David Washington, and he's not going to be able to make that pass coming off of 4, though.
No, it's going to stall his momentum out, and it allows Dylan Jones a look. Here he comes again as they cross the start-finish line, head back for turn number 1. Still can't make it work, and that's going to allow Jones the opportunity to capitalize. 3 cars under a blanket. Dylan Jones takes a peek to that left rear quarter panel. Can't quite do it. They work off turn 2, back down the back straightaway again, and we'll try to see if he can't set it up going into 3. Here he comes to the inside.
Yeah, Jeff Ward made an amazing move coming off at 2 there. It was really subtle if you weren't watching close enough, but he actually entered into turn 1 just a little bit high in order to get a run down that banking coming onto the backstretch. That gave him a really good run down the backstretch, so he was able to clear the number 98 of David Washington, and he also brought the 99 of Dylan C. Jones with him. So, you know, Jeff's really working this traffic right now and really working the track the best that he can.
And now that's 25 of 90 laps on the board as the whole sitter goes back to the top of the leaderboard. Jones, David Washington, Dwayne Vincent, and Corbin Hemstreet. The rest of the top 5, all of those drivers within 1 second of the top spot are Thomas George, David Comstock, Daniel Everhart. The top 10, we're going to do some business, but we're also going to look the battle for second. David Washington and Dylan Jones are going at it. Mean and green so far, and Jeff Ward is loving it. He's out in front in the Pure Michigan 180 from the Irish Hills of Michigan International Speedway. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back, LSRTV. We were talking about it before the break of how strategy might play out. We're starting to see it right now as the Boomtown Sim entries of Anthony DeBarro, Mitch Rollo, and Corbin Hemstreet all hit pit road on lap number 29. They're all down and quickly going to be away. Rollo going to pick up a couple of spots here on the pit lane. And, you know, you were talking about this with me, Bryce Whitson, just before we cut to break, about maybe cutting this race into thirds to better manage those virtual Goodyear Racing Eagles, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and what's going to happen here, you know, right now the field is running about a second and a half slower than what they were on new tires. So these 4 guys coming in and pitting is pretty much going to force everybody else's hand to come in, because if they don't, they're just going to be sitting out there losing a second and a half a lap to the 4 guys that just pitted. You know, that's just a lot of time, and you really just can't take that. As I see a couple more here peeling off, going to pit road.
More cars coming to pit road, and the key is when does the leader pit? The answer right now on lap number 30. Jeff Ward has come to pit road, and Jonathan Cadell, his teammate, assumes the race lead as the 89 is in. He'll go all the way down to that number 1 pit stall, and I think he overshot it just a little bit, Bryce.
Yeah, it looks like Jeff overshot his pit stall just a hair. That's really going to hurt him on pit road. I mean, you know, we're talking about that backup and everything else is going to cost him a second to a second and a half, and you see here how far behind he is of the other 3 cars that came in with him. So that really is going to hurt him. Now he's coming off of the pit road. He's going to have to stay down below that yellow line all the way through turn 1 and 2, and then he'll be able to get back up on the track and start trying to get up to speed.
So all this going on as Rit Jet becomes the new race leader. Jonathan Cadell is on pit road right now, so the Jet moves to the top spot and in the Advanced Auto Parts machine, and that's the Daytona winner who found himself a surprising berth into the chase, the NKG Spark Plugs Advanced Auto Parts machine, and Jet just trying to get some bonus points to have a little bit of insurance. And you know, you can't help but wonder, maybe saving a little bit of fuel, could we see some of these guys that are not pitting yet? You know, is this where we see maybe 2 different strategies come in place, where you try to get on a one-stop strategy, Bryce?
You know, if they didn't start saving near the very beginning of the race, I don't know that they're going to be able to make it on one stop if they try to do something from now. But, you know, right now we've got Rich Jet, Thomas Lattimore, Brennan Mercer, Paul Fugate, and Douglas Wyatt still out on the track working lap 33 without pitting. So, you know, they may be trying to stretch this fuel out to lap 45. But, like I say, if they didn't start from the very beginning, I don't think they're going to be able to do it now.
It's going to be interesting to see. Rich got his win earlier this season at a restrictor plate track, maybe trying to pull a second one on strategy. You know, Brennan Mercer is another guy on the 29 who needs a win to have some insurance in the chase. So you can't help but wonder that all these different agendas are what we got right now, Bryce, and everybody wants this lead and potentially this win for a different reason. For a guy like, he wants insurance. He's in the chase right now on points, but he wants a win to make sure there's no doubt.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I was just looking. I was looking at the 98 of David Washington. It looks like he might have taken 2 tires on his pit stop, which has actually made him still be on the lead lap after his stop, versus a lot of the other guys aren't.
It's interesting because you talk about 2 tires versus 4 tires. Bryson had to take 2 tires because of overshooting his pit with Jeff Ward. Ward had to take a tire stop because of all the time he lost having to back up into his pit stall, but he is still right now, after it all cycles around, going to be, looks like about 11th or so in the running order once it all cycles out. So he was the leader coming in, loses 10 spots because of a tiny miscue.
Well, yeah, and that's indicative of how fast this field is tonight. You know, the entire field qualified you know, the top 25 qualified within a quarter second of each other. So, you know, we're talking about 25 cars under a blanket. So, of course, when you lose a second and a half on pit road, that's going to kill you in the standings, that's for sure.
Again, working a cycle of green flag pit stops right now, and you see Rich Jett in car 36, the leader by about 4.5 seconds over Thomas Lattimore, Brennan Mercer, Paul Fugate, the 4 cars who have not pitted. Correction, Paul Fugate has just now come down the pit lane, and then there were 3. So you've got David Washington, Thomas George, and Daniel Eberhardt, the new top 3 that would be the front runners if this all cycles out according to plan, which we assume it will here in about 8 more laps or so, and that's going to be the key. You've got to go 8 laps, 16 more miles, Bryce, if you're going to make it on one stop, and that is not going to be easy.
That's for sure, Jacob. I was actually just looking, and earlier I'd mentioned that Thomas Lattimore was dropping through the field, and I'm looking at his lap times right now. He's running around a 41.5 second lap, where Brennan Mercer and Rich Jett were both running somewhere around 40.9, 40.8 second laps right now on the track. So, you know, I'm thinking that Thomas Lattimore may actually be trying to make it to the 45 lap mark on this fuel run. But when he's giving up close to 3 seconds a lap, 2 seconds a lap, that's going to be really hard to justify in the end. We'll just have to see how this plays out for him.
Keep in mind, though, this is all contingent. The strategy and how much time you give up by coming down, it's almost it's between 30 and 35 seconds is the delta when you make a green flag pit stop. So even if they were able to fall, you know, 3, 4, 5 seconds behind the race leaders, now they're going to make all of that back up because they know these lead cars are going to have to make one more pit stop. So it may well balance out, and Brennan Mercer in the 29 is on pit road now.
Yeah, Brennan Mercer just ducked onto pit road to get some tires and fuel, and I'm still up here watching Rich Jett and Thomas Lattimore, and I'm really wondering how far they're going to stretch this at this point in time, because I know they've got to be running on fumes out there.
It all depends on how much you were saving. Rich Jett is one of those guys that started at the back of the field, so we may not have seen exactly the pace that he was running at the drop of the green flag. We got trouble on the racetrack. Caution flag flies at lap number 40. We've got one car around. It may have started with 03 of Thomas Lattimore. We're trying to get it on our cameras right now, but we do that is going to put us under the caution flag. And indeed, heavy black damage to the left side of the Harley-Davidson 03 of Thomas Lattimore. So it looks like he was one of those guys that was trying to stretch it, and now is the cause, it appears, and indeed it is. He goes for a ride down the front straightaway, comes to rest in the inside wall. He'll claim the caution, and that puts us under yellow at lap number 40 of 90 here tonight.
I'll tell you, Jacob, the 89 did an amazing job driving through that wreck. He was very lucky. As the 03 was coming down the track, he also clipped the number 9 of Anthony DeBarro, and Jeff Ward just drove through that amazingly.
Yeah, Jeff Ward, definitely one of the star players in that incident. Thomas Lattimore, the caution, and puts us under our first Service Master Clean caution of the evening. Gives us an opportunity to step away for just a moment. So we're back with more from the Michigan International Speedway in just a moment. You're watching LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Rich Jett, your leader.
racing.
Did you know the lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
Welcome back to the Irish Hills of Michigan and the 180 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, presented by Gary Mercer Trucking, the world's leader in freight. Jacob Seelman and Bryce Whitson in the Inside Sim Racing broadcast tower. And a caution flag at lap number 40, going to be a huge break for the 36 of Rich Jett, because it puts him out in front of the field in the NGK Sparkplugs Advance number 36 Chevrolet SS. We're doubled up for a restart, Bryce, and they say sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and Rick definitely lucky. He was the last car staying out, and now, boy, it's going to be dicey on fuel if you don't pit again from here.
That's for sure. We're gonna have 45 green flag laps to go, and Rich Jett, he just chose the right strategy right there. So and he also was a little lucky because the 03, who was also trying that strategy, got a little loose coming off the corner. But here we go. I'll give it to you for the green flag.
Coming off of turn number 4 for the first time since the initial green flag, the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car is going to make for the safety of pit road and leave the field in the hands of Rich Jett and David Washington as we work back to the American Ethanol green flag. This restart presented by American Ethanol. If it's good enough for NASCAR, it's good enough for your car. American made, American grown, powering NASCAR. Green flag back in the air and down to turn number 1 from third. We're going to have a new leader by the time they get there. The Ford of Dwayne Vincent to the front in the backyard of the Blue Ovals. And the championship leader, Bryce, has not won all season long. I know he wants nothing more than to change that right here.
Tell you what, they're getting ready to go 3 wide back here for about 6th place, Jacob. I see the 14 of David Comstock trying to push it up the center there, and he backed out and thought better of it. But definitely, this is getting really dicey up here at the front. I know it's a restart, so this is where you have your opportunity to get all the track position you can get. That 13 made a really nice move going into turn 1 on the 36 of Rich Jett.
And how about the battle for second, headed for turn number 1? The 99, Dylan Jones in the Steel Power Sports entry. Gonna make the move around the 36 and power to the runner-up position. Here comes Thomas George in the 1. Looking to the inside of Jett now. That's gonna be side by side for third into turn number 3. And the Snap-on Chevrolet gonna hang the 36 out on a clothesline. Rich Jett going backwards. Thomas George around to 4th. The 98 Toyota Camry of David Washington to 5th. Here comes Mitch Rollo down on the apron. A little bit of contact at the start-finish line for 6th.
Yeah, that 36 of Rich Jett, he's just going to get freight trained at this point in time. They're not having nobody's having any luck on that outside lane, even though you should be able to get back to the throttle a little quicker. I think it's just too loose out there. As we see there, the number 90 of Daniel Everhart is going on the outside of the 69 of Corbin Hinch Street. With any luck, that might give That might give Rich Jet a little bit of a boost on the outside, but again, going into the corner, you see there Rich Jet and the 90 of Daniel Eberhard are just moving back on that outside lane.
And here comes our in-racer. 3 wide to the apron goes David Comstock in the 14. Rich Jet out in no man's land up in that third lane. Here comes Eric Brundies in the 94. Coming up through the field, the White Castle entry is on the move, so now you're seeing a major shuffle. The 90 of Daniel Eberhard is just pinned on that outside lane. He cannot go anywhere right now, and it's allowing for a challenge by the Monster Energy Chevrolet SS of David Comstock, who moves to the inside, and he's going to be looking to take over, I believe now, the 7th position as they go side by side across the stripe, and indeed move the 14 of Comstock up to position number 7, and Rich Jet falling through the field. He's all the way back out.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate. It actually makes me wonder if Rich Jet's not actually trying to push the issue there, and he's just trying to coast, because I even see him on the straightaways. He's losing speed to these other guys, so I'm wondering if he's intentionally falling back just because he didn't think he had the car to stay up there, or because he is playing that long game. Given the green flag run we had at the beginning of the race, he might be thinking that we're going to get the same thing again and just fall into the back and cruise.
Side by side for 5th as they work across the start-finish line. Corbin Hemstreet and Mitch Rollo, RCO Boomtown Sim teammates, going at it as they head for turn number 1. Hemstreet to the inside of Rollo, going to take that 5th position away in car number 69. He picked up his first career Full Throttle Cup Series win in the battle at the Brickyard at Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago. Now trying to add a second one to it here in the Irish Hills of Michigan, and those two tracks really nothing similar except for the fact that you're going almost 200 miles an hour. So Hemstreet through and clear to the top as we continue to watch this battle, and they're trying to run down the front 4 who were breaking away from the pack ever so briefly, but now you see the rest of this line, Bryce, pulling them back in like a fishing line ever so slowly, getting a car length closer every lap.
Yeah, everybody's still close enough together that they can help each other, and as long as this second little pack here sticks close like they are, they're just gonna run that front pack down, and you know, once they get up there, they might even be able to push them closer together and have a real tight group there for the top 10. But oh, we've got a 3 wide back here in the back. We've got the number 41 falling back on the outside.
Yeah, Nathan Little in his first RSR Full Throttle Cup Series start in a couple of months. Welcome back to the former Stroker Aces and Teams champion of Nathan Little in that 41 machine, a longtime teammate to defending series champion Eric Brundies in the 94. Up front, we've got some people slicing and dicing as well. Teammates back at it again. Mitch Rollo and Corbin Hemstreet going wheel to wheel in turn number 3. Behind them, the 14 of David Comstock, the 90 of Daniel Eberhard looking for some room to race. RCO Boomtown Sim. Does Comstock make it 3 wide? Not quite. Coming to the line.
I'll tell you what, the 96...
Oh, and Mitch Rollo slow as they work off turn number 4. It's maybe a problem, Bryce. He's fallen back to 11th and continuing to free fall.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Mitch Rollo got really loose coming off of turn 4 right there on the inside. He was pinched down just enough, and when he got back to the gas, the rear end tried to step out. He had to slow up in order to save it. Yeah, as you see, that dropped him all the way back to 11th position, back there with Jeff Ward. Which actually, let's look at that. Jeff Ward back here running 10th place right now. That's not like him from the beginning of the race. I wonder if everything's okay with that car after going through that wreck earlier.
Well, remember, he lost a lot of time as well from that road violation where he had to back up into the pit stall and overshot the pit just a little bit, Bryce. So keep in mind, he's still trying to battle back a little bit, caught out by that caution and was about 10th at the time. So still a lot left to play with for that 89 machine. But you're right, very uncharacteristic of him to still be back there.
Yeah, and I'm looking up here at the front of the pack. It looks like David Washington is really wearing out the bumper of Thomas J. George going into the corner. I've watched him the last 2 turns. He's going up there and just giving Thomas just a little bit of a shove going into the corner, hoping that Thomas J. George is going to get loose. And there he goes. The 98 of David Washington dives to the inside to try and get inside of the number 1 of Thomas J. George. And here they are going into turn 1 again. The 98 sucks right up to his bumper, and he's going to let him go this time.
I think only this time. And, you know, Thomas is... Oh, wow! Look at the 98 of Washington trying to hang on to it. He loses about a car length. He got way loose off turn number 2. I believe that's what we in the business Bryce call wicked loose.
That's for sure. I tell you, with this full fuel load, these cars are definitely on the loose side. I would actually be tempted, based on what I'm seeing at the next pit stop, to actually take a slightly light load of fuel. That might actually help that loose condition some, and let them be able to get back to the gas a little bit quicker.
Well, you know, if you're going by the math where they pitted about lap 40, 41 right here, if you go the entire fuel load, you're only filling up for about a 10 or 12 lap dash to the finish. So you're not going to take a whole lot of fuel, only a couple of gallons, because really that's all you need for the end of this race. So I buy that strategy, and I definitely think for a lot of these guys, that's what you're going to want to do, and it's going to be what you're going to need to do, because you got to save time. And here looks like the battle for the lead. You see the snake coming down the start-finish line. Everybody trying to break. Dylan Jones trying to run down the Ford of Dwayne Vincent, who's out front. It's the old battle of the manufacturer in the Motor City. Ford versus Chevy at the front.
Yeah, and it looks like David Comstock just moved himself up into the top 5 with a great pass on Corbin Hemstreet there down the front straightaway. And you're right, they're moving back and forth on this front straightaway, trying to break the draft a little bit. You know, iRacing's got a very, very unique draft in the way that it's very, very much behind the car, so it's easy to break the draft on somebody who's behind you if you just want to move up and down the track a little bit.
A little bit of a physics lesson from up here in the broadcast booth. An insight that is unique here tonight, and definitely appreciate Bryce jumping up here in the broadcast booth, and he's getting ready to see a show, because we're down to just 32 laps to go when they come back to the stripe. Top 4 have broken away a little bit. Dwayne Vincent leads Dylan Jones, Thomas George, David Washington, with David Comstock now moving inside the top 5. We're back with more in a moment. Right now, Michigan International Speedway. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
It's been a very long off-season. Teams have changed, sponsors have changed, colors and all, but one thing that hasn't, they like to mash the loud pedal. Green flag is out on the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season.
iRacing is the ideal platform for these broadcasts because we have the best racers, the best online racers in the world, and we have such a variety of racing, from NASCAR to Grand Prix style racing, sports car, endurance racing. We do it all.
Since 2010, the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series has been the absolute pinnacle of road racing in a simulated form. Great start then by Yakoda from the front. They're packing up behind number one. They're going to be 4 wide as they come down into turn number 1 for the first time. Will they make it through that first corner? You can see them funneling through the center S's. It looks as though everyone is just about made it through. We have got ourselves some contact though, Rachel.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage with Ottinger's not going to.
Oh, he got into him!
Ottinger gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
We do a lot of live broadcasts now. Every Tuesday is NASCAR night, so on alternating Tuesdays we do the Peak Antifreeze Series, and on the other Tuesdays the B-Class Series, which is the Xfinity cars, and sometimes we'll even do some short track racing depending on the schedule. Every other Saturday we do the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, so the best road racers we have. And we also broadcast some special events, including the Endurance Championship, which is part of the Road Warrior Series. So we broadcast the Daytona 24, the Sebring 12 hour, we'll do the Watkins Glen 6 hour.
Welcome back to LSRTV, Cars on Pit Road, because we are under caution, working lap. No, we're caution coming out at lap number 63. The leaders are in, but you're seeing a replay right now because Bryce, chaos for Jeff Ward. And it's uncharacteristic to see a mistake like this out of that 89 machine. He just lost it all by himself, and the 90 had nowhere to go for Daniel Eberhardt.
Yeah, Jeff was really trying to get to the inside there of Corbin Hemstreet, and he got up close to him, and I think he thought better of it and thought, well, he's going to make a cut to the outside and do a little crossover on the backstretch, and when he did, it just got a little loose with him, and yeah, like you said, the 90 just had nowhere to go in that wreck.
So we are working under caution, and now the lead change coming with what's going to be 63, 64 laps in the record books when we get back to the stripe. Chad Cole credited with leading lap number 63. And I'm looking at, he stayed out, assumes the lead, and check that, lap 65 as they come across the stripe. I can count. So Cole, your new leader, and now he will come to pit road. Looks like he was getting a bonus point, and that is going to see the 13 of Dwayne Vincent go back to the top of the leaderboard with now just, by my feeble math skills, Bryce, 25 laps to go.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree with that call there by Chad Cole to get that lap led. He gave up a ton of track position in order to do that. So I don't know if I like that call at all.
It's interesting, I think, to say the least. But when you're in the position that Chad Cole is in, it's to get in on points because he hasn't won a race, and every point may be crucial right now because there's only 4 or 5 spots up for grabs in this chase battle. So, and we've seen in the past points positions and points battles, even going up series, being decided by 1 point, Bryce. So I can understand why he did it. Like you said, though, hate that he's given up so much track position.
Yeah, I look at that. You know, he was running right around the top 10 at that point in time, and he basically gave up position to 29th on the track or somewhere around there. And it looks like he's actually getting out of his car. Did he get a bunch of damage in that wreck?
I'm not seeing a lot of damage on the 8 car, but it may be that there was some damage to that machine. So very puzzling, and you know, several retirees in this mess. Thomas Lattimore, Ant Barrow retires from this race, or has retired from this race, and a lot of chaos. So even going back to the caution before, where we saw some of these cars, and Jeff Ward now officially retiring as a result of this most recent caution. So DeBarra was out during our first yellow of the race at lap number 40. He got a bunch of damage from the incident when Thomas Lattimore spun. Now we see Jeff Ward retire from this race, and he's looks like going to be destined to finish about 33rd here tonight. So huge break for the worse for the 89 of Jeff Ward, and now getting set for a restart. The field going to be, I believe, in the hands of the 98 of David Washington, 13 of Dwayne Benson, and Daniel Eberhard also takes his car behind the wall. So the two major players in that caution both retiring from this one, and we're going to get a restart with 67 laps complete. And I just don't know. Straightaway right now, so we got a half lap before green, and oh boy, I don't know, Bryce. This is be chaotic, and I think we may be about to see some players that we didn't expect, because look at Eric Brun. He's up in the 5th position now. He started sick, a great run up through the field tonight.
Oh yeah, and especially this is go time at this point in time. We're talking about 22 laps of green flag racing. This is where you're going to have to push for every little bit. And, you know, I hate to say it, but there's a good possibility that we'll see a couple more cautions before this race is over, with guys just pushing too hard, coming off the corner and getting loose.
So we may not be done with caution flag. That's going to be good for the fuel mileage. And it's going to be good right now for restarts, which is what we're about to see. iRacing, Ford First Mustang pace cars in. They can make it to the end from here. 23 laps to go. David Washington brings the field to the American Ethanol green flag, gets a solid restart, and there's no hole for Dwayne Vincent to stick himself into. Now he makes a run down into turn number 1. Battling with Dylan Jones for that 2nd position. They're wheel to wheel, and David Washington is loving this.
Yeah, and you can see when Dylan came off the corner there, he did get just a little bit sideways, but was able to hang on to it and keep the momentum up on the low side.
How about that slide job?
Oh, yeah, that was just absolutely beautiful overall. And, you know, the 13, he just has not gotten a good restarts on the outside. Come to think of it, all night, the outside just has not been the preferred lane, as we've got a 3-wide battle going on back here. It looks like somebody here is falling back through the pack real quick.
Yeah, a couple of cars falling back, but the 3-wide battle right now between Eric Brundy's and the 2 RCO Boomtown cars, a Corbin Hemstreet and Mid, were battling for 5th position, 5th, 6th, and 7th. And they finally got it sorted out with everybody spots that they had. But, you know, right now, I think the thing that sticks out to me with 21 laps to go, Bryce, is the fact that our top 2 drivers, not only are they Rook Cup Series, neither of them has ever won a race in Full Throttle Cup competition. They've got all the hounds behind them looking to stop them, and neither Washington nor Jones has ever won a race, and they run one too.
Yeah, and Dylan Jones is really pouring the coal to her right now. We're hearing that he's got the fastest lap of the race at this point in time with a 38.736. So, you know, he's really putting down a good lap time, and so is David Washington there with a 7.96. So, you know, they're absolutely flying, and quite a few guys have put down their fastest laps these last couple circuits here. So this is definitely going to be an exciting race.
Trouble coming off turn number 4. Thomas Most gets loose in the 1 machine from 8th. He somehow manages to hang on to it, but I got a tap from behind from the 51 of Shyler Brown, and he did a masterful job, Bryce, hanging on to it, but that was almost a very dicey moment for the 1.
Yeah, Thomas J. George has been running great all night. That would have been horrible to see his night ended early. He's definitely one of the faster cars out there. I just hope that he's going to be able to get some of this track position that he lost under that pit stop back here soon, because the laps are winding down. We've only got about 18 laps to go at this point in time.
Yeah, we are coming down, but it is about, it was 19 to go at the stripe. We're working lap number 72 of 90, and two rookies in this field run one down. The rookie Rampage, they've got a couple of wily veterans behind them in the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, the 14 of David Comstock. That's your top four. Corbin Hemstreet back there has just taken over the 5th spot from Eric Brundy, so that's your top 5. Coming now down to 18 laps to go. Still a lot of time, though, if you want to get something done. Thomas George and Mitch Rollo going at it for 7.
Yeah, Thomas J. George, a really good run off of turn 2 on that backstretch, and used it to his advantage to get around Mitch Rollo there. And here they are going into turn 1, and it looks like Mitch Rollo is going to try to do the same thing. He's getting a good run coming off of 2, but he's just not going to have the speed. And there goes the number 69 of Corbin Hemstreet to the inside of the number 14 of David Comstock going into turn 3, and Comstock's just going to give it to him and try and do a crossover here, I think. Comstock's looking low. He gets the run off of turn 4, but he's just not going to have the speed to get that pass done on the straightaway.
What a run by the 69 of Hemstreet. That was an absolute power move down the back straightaway, and I think David saw it coming and didn't want to lose any more time than he absolutely had to right here. So Hemstreet moves to the top 4, Comstock back to 5th, and Corbin Hemstreet right now has the fastest car on the racetrack of all 4 front runners. So could the 69 be having his day in the closing laps? 16 to go when they come to the stripe, and you gotta wonder, Bryce, who is showing all their cards right now and who isn't?
I tell you, I got to go back to Thomas J. George back here. That second group was actually losing the leaders when Mitch Rollo was up front. Well, there goes Mitch Rollo again. Oh, gives Thomas J. George a nice little push going into turn 1. I bet that didn't make Thomas too happy there, but he got it collected back up, and Mitch Rollo is going to lose a ton of speed. The 51 of Skylar Brown is going to look to his inside and think better of it, but oh yeah, Thomas J. George got a heck of a punt going into turn 1, and here goes Mitch Rollo again to the inside in turn 3. Thomas J. George probably not very happy as they touch. Thomas doesn't give him any room in the center of the corner.
These two have some history, and I'm not surprised to see a little bit of full body racing between the 1 and the 96 right now. They're going at it right now. The top 5 are starting to compress a little bit, but Washington is the man out in front. 15 laps. He has a 2-car length advantage over the 99 of Dylan Jones and the 13 of Dwayne Vincent. That's the train of the top 6 who have broken away from that battle for 7th between Thomas George and Mitch Rollo.
Yeah, Thomas J. George and Mitch Rollo started fighting there for that position, and they've just lost a ton of time in the last couple laps. They've lost close to a second on these leaders, so that just was not a good time to be battling like that. That's for sure. As the number 13 of Dwayne Vincent's looking on the inside of Dylan C. Jones going into turn 1, and it looks like to me Dwayne Vincent's going to get a good run coming off of 2, but he's just not going to have the power to pull up past him.
No, he's not. That's going to be good news for David Washington. And look at Dylan. Hold the momentum on the outside and keep runner-up position. Problem is that lets David Washington get a little bit further away from this field. This time by, it's going to be just to go. And anybody in the top 6 can still win this race. Caution flag on the racetrack. We got trouble. Cars going through the grass. The 43 of 51, Skylar Brown, among those collected in this one. Couple of cars going through the infield on the front straightaway. That's going to put us under the Service Master Clean caution flag once again and set up a chaotic finish.
Yeah, I'm looking back here in the field right now to see what happened, and it looks like Skylar Brown just got caught
he
up
had
in
help.
a bad
He wasn't
mess
the
there.
one that started this mess. That honor looks like 21 of Matt Lacrosse got into the wall off turn 4.
Yeah, and that was what I was afraid of tonight. When the races that I've run here the last couple weeks, you know, I've had a consistently tight car coming off of turn 4, and so that's what I was more worried about than guys spinning them. But definitely, Matt Lacrosse got a good piece of the wall, and Skylar Brown just didn't really have anywhere to go.
We'll bring you back finish in a moment and re-rack them, restack them, do it one more time. So about 8 laps to go when we return. This is LSRTV and live coverage of the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. And right now it's a pair of rooks leading the way. David Washington, your leader, and it was Dylan Jones in second, but he's now fallen a little bit further back in the top 5. From Michigan International Speedway, you're watching Live Sim Racing TV.
I'm Dan Garrison, software engineer at iRacing. Since the beginning of Papyrus and through iRacing, the track has been unchanging through a session. Whatever you have at the beginning is what you have for the duration of the session and the end. The track doesn't change. What we want to do is be able to have the track respond to what's going on, to have cars interact with the track, to have the track change in temperature, in the amount of rubber. We want marbles, and we want those to be generated by the cars, putting them where they should be and picking them up and rethrowing them off the race line. It's a physical-based model that we focus on first and foremost. The tire and the track interaction, what's really going on there. It would be easy to just quickly throw something together. Our standards are, it needs to make sense. What's really going on, even at the molecular level between the track and the tire. The way the track works, essentially, is we divide it up into small cells that your car interacts with. So if you're adding temperature to a certain part of the track, we can pretty accurately know exactly where that is. That gets transmitted to the server. So if I'm in a race, my data is going to the server with everybody else in the session. The server accumulates that and basically broadcasts a consistent track state to everyone, so everyone's got the same track that they're racing on. One of the big challenges was being able to implement this dynamic track with any number of clients connected and have it just work as you would expect. Have it be the same for everyone in the service who's in a session. So to kind of give a little bit of a preview of the state of things right now, I basically have run a number of laps at 5 flags with the effects exaggerated for demonstration purposes so that we can kind of immediately see what's going on with the track. Right here is basically the track at the beginning of the session. There is a little bit of rubber on there that's put programmatically. That's the starting state of this track, and it's fairly low rubber at this point. If we skip ahead to the end, yeah, I did about 30 laps, so at the very end you can kind of see all this darkened in right here. This is where I was running the car, so well, there you go. And again, this is exaggerated. A single car in 30 laps is not going to darken the track anywhere near this level. We also have the ability to see the temperature, similar to an IR camera. At the beginning of the session, it's a little bit warm down here. It's very cool up here. As we skip ahead, all of a sudden, this part of the track.
Welcome back to LSRTV and what is about to be a 9-lap dash to the checkered flag. Jacob Seelman and Bryce Whitson in the broadcast tower as a bunch of different strategies, Bryce, for this restart. You've got David Washington in the 98, your leader, Dwayne Vincent, David Comstock, Eric Brundies. The top 4 all stayed out. Then you've got the 99 of Dylan Jones, the 23 of Greg Evans on 2 tires, and Corbin Hemstreet on 4 tires in 7th. If this stays green, I like the 4-tire call. What are you thinking if you're these guys out front? I know they're hoping for cautions.
I think they're for sure hoping for cautions. I think they also thought maybe a few more guys would stay out, or possibly a few more guys would just take 2 tires. But you know, of all the calls out there, the 2-tire call I think may not have been the best, just because this car's been super loose coming off of turn 2 and turn 4, and that 2 tires is only going to make that worse here at the Michigan International Speedway.
We are down to it right now. 9 laps to glory, and somebody is going to walk away with the Pure Michigan 180 trophy and the checkered flag. Who it is, we're about to find out. The iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car gonna get ready to head for the safety of pit road. Leaves the field in the hands of David Washington and Dwayne Vincent. Corbin Hemstreet, the first man on 4. Green flag in the air. Oh, the 98 spins his tires. And the tires, and Dwayne Vincent spun them as well. The whole front row locking it up. It's getting chaotic, and we're down to turn number 1. Washington gathers it up first with the lead, and we got trouble.
We've got 2 of them in the wall back here in turn 1 going into turn 1. Let's see if we can find out who that is. It look one of them is Brian Harvey, and the second one is going to be...
It started right back there around Brian Harvey. That was a stack up at the back of the pack, and that's going to set us up a restart with about 5 laps to go now. Oh boy.
Yeah, that was I'm watching that restart again. I'm a little questioning exactly what happened there. It looked like the 98 got out of the gas a little bit, really stacked up that inside line. I know the 14 spun his tires some, but yeah, that was definitely not a good restart.
Woo boy. So now the problem is we got to do it again. This is what... But this, that's what I was saying, though. This is what those guys who took no tires and stayed out were hoping. They were hoping we were going to get caution laps, and they're getting their wish right now for David Washington. The problem is David Comstock worked his way to 2nd, and Corbin Hemstreet worked his way to 5th on the inside lane. If Corbin can get even a full lap, I think he's going to have enough to pull away from these guys or pull past these guys and win this race. The problem is he may only have one more restart to do it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I'll tell you, the big loser right there, as funny as it sounds, is actually going to be Eric Brundies. He lost 2 positions right there at the start, so he's now sitting back in 6th place on old tires, and so I hate to say it, but it's going to be real tough for him to get a good finish out of this one now tonight.
And we are again under caution coming down to the tail end of this, and I'm looking at a guy. I want to give a shout out to a guy who's been really quiet tonight. 2 guys actually who have been really quiet tonight, but are up in solid positions in 10th and 11th right now with 6 laps to go. The 25 Kodiak entry of Nick Silver, who took 2 tires to gain some track 10 right now, and the guy right behind him in 11th, the Abreu Vineyards number 5, Dan Murray. That Toyota Camry has just been really quiet, hovering just outside the top 10 all night. Got a win earlier on this season, right back in the first couple of races, but Dan doing a really solid job tonight in 11th in that 5 machine, and he's back there with a teammate in Thomas George in 9th. They line up nose to tail on this restart. Maybe shove their way through the pack just a little bit. I mean, we know how much having some help from behind is a good thing at Michigan on these restarts, Bryce.
Well, you've got Thomas George there. You've got Dan Murray, Nick Cohan in the 53. He's kind of got a technical alliance between his Dizzy Motorsports and Steel Horse Racing. So, and then also you've got Jonathan Cadell back there in 14th. So really, you've got 4 teammates there together. They could definitely work together and try and get up through this field. But unfortunately, with only about 5 laps to go or 4 laps to go here when we get back to green flag racing, I have a feeling that they're going to be lucky to finish in the top 10 at this point.
If you're looking at it right now, if we go green and don't get another caution really quickly, Bryce, who do you see as the guy being in the catbird seat?
I'll tell you, it's got to be that front row right now. Dylan Jones, he took 2 tires. I don't know that he's going to have the speed coming up off the corner, especially in order to get around these guys. Corbin Hemstreet could have a chance, sitting back there in 5th place. He did take 4 tires recently, so he could really run it down in there into the corner. But like we've seen all night, that inside line, as the run goes on, it seems like the inside line doesn't seem to help you a whole lot coming off the corner, especially if you get pinched down there.
Maybe not, but again, grip for from fresh tires does mean a lot. So I believe we're going to get the 1 to go signal when we get back to the flag stand. So what will be in at that point is a scenario where once we get the green flag, the next flag ends the race, checkers or wreckers, because there's no provision in the iRacing sim for a green-white checker. So it's go time or not at all. Basically now or never if you're anybody that wants to go to victory lane. And I can promise you what that 98 is hoping for, Bryce, is that right when we go green, we get an immediate...
Oh, that's for sure. You know, I'll be honest, I've sat in the position that the 98's been in, and at this point in time, I'm thinking of all the games that I can play on the restart in order to get just a little bit of an advantage. And, you know, if nothing else, get a 3 to 4 car length advantage going into turn 1 so you don't have to worry about the guys behind you and let them race it out. So, you know, I'd watch for him to play a game here on this restart and get the best start that he can.
It all comes down to this, and David, the man we talked to just before we went green, is going to restart on the front row. Vincent and Jones, third and fourth, Hims and Brundys round out the first 3 rows, and you've got a rookie who's never won a Full Throttle Cup Series race in what I believe is just going to be his, I think, 3rd start of the season here tonight. Looking at it, could he possibly tip the apple cart and go to victory lane? You know, Bryce, you've run in this series before. I know you haven't tasted victory lane in it yet, but you know, you can sit where any of these say how important these races are and how tough one of these races are to win.
That's for sure. There's a lot of good competition here at RSR. You know, I would almost call this the fixed iRacing Pro League with the level of drivers that are in the league and as fast as they are. And so, you know, it's going to be a really big deal if David Washington can pull this off tonight, or even for Dave Comstock or Dwayne Vincent to get up there and snag this one at the last minute. You know, any of these guys winning is going to be a big deal, as well as it's going to punch your ticket to get into that chase.
Oh, Comstock spits the tires as the American Ethanol green flag goes in the air. 2 wide, almost 3 wide. Corbin Hemstreet's ready to move. He got a tough restart, and look at Dylan Jones down to the bottom. The 2 rookies ride 1-2. Here comes Comstock up the outside. We're green off of 2.
And it looks like we got Nick Silver possibly spinning on the backstretch. We got 2 of them going into the backstretch wall. Thomas J. George hits the inside retaining wall really hard back there, but it doesn't look like that's going to bring out a caution.
No. Right now we stay green, and the top 6 are single file. 4 tires, and here comes Corbin Hemstreet down to the bottom. 3 wide as Hemstreet to the apron, trying to go to 3rd by the time they get to turn number 1. Could he maybe even go for 2nd? They're 3 deep in 1.
Corbin Hemstreet throws it down into turn 1, but again, this is where I was talking about getting up off of turn 2 on that bottom, and he gets just a little bit loose. He just can't get that run while those guys are finishing. It looks like the 14 of Comstock is going to go to the outside and try and make something happen here going down in turn 3, but no, Mitch Rollo to the inside of Comstock. They touch. Comstock stuck on the outside. He's going to lose a ton of momentum, and he's going to go to the back with that.
2 laps go. Mitch Rollo on 4 tires moves to the bottom of the racetrack. A little bit of contact, Wayne Vincent. 2 laps to go for the rookies out in front. David Washington and Dylan Jones looking to steal a win, but Mitch Rollo is coming. Is he going to have enough time to get there? 2 to go down the back straightaway.
Mitch Rollo's off of turn 2, and he's got a really good run down that back stretch. It's just going to depend on whether or not he can get in that slipstream of the 2 cars in front of him and really make that count. He dives it off down into turn 1, or down into turn 3, as we see Dan Murray also making a move to take up 6th position from Eric Brundys in the 94. And down the front stretch they go, and there goes Corbin Hemstreet again to the inside of Dwayne Vincent. It looks like those 4 tires for both Mitch Rollo and Corbin Hemstreet are starting to pay off just a little bit.
I think they're going to run out of time, though. That was the white flag. You've got one more shot at it, and for David Washington, he's got a car length advantage. Rollo may get to second down the back straightaway, but it's not going to be enough. He looks to the inside of Dylan Jones. How deep do you drive it into turn number 3? Rollo looks to the inside and cannot get there. So for David Washington, in just his 3rd career RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, the rookies going to victory lane. Off turn number 4, David Washington, final dive for Dylan Jones. Washington wins at Michigan. Jones is second, Rolo third, Mitt Corbin Hemstreet fourth, and Dwayne Vincent rounds out the top 5 as we go to the finish in a 4-lap dash, and the rookie is a winner in his 3rd start here at Michigan. How about that? No tires, Bryce, actually pays off.
Yeah, that was a great run there by the rookie. He did exactly what he needed to do. He got a good start on that last start, got out in front of those guys. Him and the 98 both did, and that was exactly what they needed to do there at the end of the race.
It's a win for David Washington. He gets it done in an impressive drive. He'll mark it at the start-finish line a winner. First-time winner here in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, and we'll talk with him as well as the rest of our podium when we come back. A note, David Comstock falls all the way to 7th at the checkered flag, but for Washington, it's a win. After this, the LSRTV show, it's all from Michigan, and it's all when we come back. From the Irish Hills, you're watching LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Did you know that Lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
And what a wild finish we've just seen here from the Irish Hills of Michigan. Jacob Seelman and Bryce Whitson Jr. getting ready to break it all down, and I'll head down trackside. In fact, Bryce and I will both be down trackside in a moment to discuss with the podium. But really quickly, Bryce, we were talking about it a minute ago, but neither of us, no tires, was going to work on this final sprint. But that caution in the middle was able to cut down the laps just enough for David Washington and to hold on and pick victory. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, that was definitely that was an interesting call there with a few laps to go and with as many people as pitted, but the traffic just kind of held up Mitch Rolo just enough that he couldn't quite get to him. But yeah, I think 1 or 2 more laps and we would have had a different winner. But hey, congratulations to the rookies, David Washington and Dylan Jones. Man, that was an amazing drive by both of them there at the end of the race.
And speaking of the guy that took tires and almost got his way through the field, let's talk with him right now, because Mitch Rolo, I'm sure you're thinking you just wanted 1 or 2 of those caution laps back. You were coming with a full head of steam, had the tires, just ran out of time. Was there anything that you could have done differently there in the final lap to maybe change the outcome of this one and steal a win?
I don't think I could have done anything different. I mean, I really do wish we could have got a couple more of those caution laps back. Because I mean, if I mean, 2 more laps, I think I could have got another win there. But it's unfortunate. But I'll definitely take a podium finish. It was a great run for the '96 team today.
I mean, you get a win at Watkins Glen, come here to Michigan, continue the momentum with a podium finish by your space in the chase. I mean, is this a team that can make a championship run now, coming down to the tail end of this season?
Yeah, I think so. With the amount of practice that we've been doing and the amount of work that's been going into the program here at Boomtown, it wouldn't surprise me if one of us or all of us made it to that, or at least 3 of us made it to that Final Four. We'll see. We'll wait and see what happens. Hopefully, we can get some good luck in the chase and have some speed. I think we'll have some good speed, so we'll see what happens.
You've had speed. You showed it tonight. Not a win, but still on the podium. Sponsors, shout-outs. Who makes it happen for the 96 crew?
Yeah, I got to thank Performance Motorsports Network, Race Chaser Online, Speed 77 Radio, Boomtown Sim, LSRTV, Real Sim Racing. Got to thank my teammates Corbin, Chris, Anthony, and Jared. Jared did a heck of a job up on the box for the team tonight. Also got to thank you, Jacob. You do a lot for this team, so I truly do appreciate what you do.
That's Victorolo, comes up position short, but on the podium in 3rd here tonight. And going to move a little bit further up pit road where the first of the rookies is standing by with Bryce Whitson. Dylan Jones had 2 tires, came up 1 position short, Bryce.
Yeah, I'm here with the number 99 of Dylan Jones with his steel Chevrolet SS here. And Dylan, you had an amazing run there at the end to come up 2nd place. What'd you think there? Caution with about 10 to go.
I was thinking, should I pit or shouldn't I pit? I thought more people were going to start and I was going to end up further back. But when I seen only 4 guys came out, I just grabbed 2 tires and was hoping for the best.
Yeah, it looked like there on that last restart, you made a really, really aggressive move on the number 14 of David Comstock coming to the green flag, and that seemed to really set you up to make a run for the win there.
Yeah, on old tires here, the tire spin can get pretty bad, and he spun him a little bit, and I was just making sure I didn't, because that's a pretty big advantage if you don't, and drove it off in there and was able to clear him.
That's for sure. You had a really good run tonight, man. This is only your 3rd start here in RSR, and that's a big deal to come up 2nd place. What are kind of your goals for the rest of the season with the league here?
Well, right now, joining the middle of the season, it's all about that W, and coming here, we just joined up with Stroker Races and trying to help them out in the championship for team and just get some more W's.
Well, that's amazing. Tonight you had a great run, man. Who makes it possible for you?
I just want to thank Steel Power Equipment and Stroker Races and Joe English and James Ross there for making sure I didn't take anyone's nose off out on the track there. And you guys, LSR and RSR, for putting this all on. It's definitely a lot of fun.
Well, like I say, congratulations on the 2nd place finish there. This is the number 99 of Dylan C. Jones, and I believe Jacob Seelman is caught up with our winner, Mr. David Washington.
Gatorade Victory Lane, the place to be, and in just his 3rd career RSR Full Throttle Cup Series start, David Washington, you made it happen tonight on no tires with 10 to go, and you see most of the field behind you come down pit road. Stressful was it on the restart, trying to just get enough of a gap, enough of a restart to where you could hold everybody off?
Now, the biggest thing was just the restart before the last one there. Got a little wiggle in the back, tried to steer out of it to keep it from spinning the tires too bad. Got it going. It was a little slow on the outside. I seen them fall back a little bit. I was good. Next restart, it just hooked up and went. I just kind of rolled in the gas and it just started going forward. And once I went down into one, that thing just hooked and no sliding up off the corners or nothing, just hooked up.
You get the win, first one of your career in just your third start in the full series. I mean, how much does this mean to you, knowing the level of competition and some of the premier drivers in this league, to be able to come in and show, hey, I've got the speed to get it done?
Yeah, the long runs I do okay at. It's the qualifying where I get myself in trouble. The competition is very stiff here. First 2 races, I just kind of sat and watched what people were doing. I didn't know what to expect, so I just didn't want to hit anybody or do anything out of the ordinary. So I just kind of rode. Coming into Michigan, I put in a few minutes of practice. Car felt good. Just tried different strategies, and it paid off.
It paid off in a big way, and I know none of it's possible by yourself. Sponsor shout-outs. Who makes it happen for this 98 team?
Stroker Race, new team, just joined up with them with Jones, Eric, and they brought us on to help them out, and it seems like a good fit. Running up front is going to be the key. Couldn't do it without English and James Ross spotting for us. Jones for kind of coaching me now, because I used to try to help coach him, and now he's coaching me. You guys here at LSRTV, it's an awesome show.
And the rookie get it done. Congratulations again, David. I know this is one that you'll remember for a while. You're a full throttle runner, my friend, and that's a mark that'll stay with you the rest of this season.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it, guys, and I plan to do my best, keep my nose clean, and keep pushing forward.
That's David Washington, your first-time Full Throttle Cup Series winner here at Michigan International Speedway. And take it now back between Bryce and I as we look at the final results. Bryce, David Washington, that 98 car, gets the win. Dylan Jones, Mitch Rollo, Corbin Hemstreet, Dwayne Vincent, the top 5. Dan Murray, how about his rally? We were talking about him late in the race, picked up 5 spots on the final restart to go to 6th. David Comstock is 7th, Eric Brundy's 8th. Nick Cohan, where did he come from to finish 9th? And the guy you were watching all night long, Bryce, Jonathan L., managed to sneak a top 10 out of all this.
Yeah, these guys all ran really well tonight. Finishing 11th, we've got the number 25 of Nick Silver. 12th, we've got the 36 of Rich Jett. 13th is the 43 of Doug Roth. In 14th, the 91 of Steve Gottschalk. In 15th, the 42 of Scott Stenzel. 16th is the 15 of Scott Simley. 17th is the number 22 of William Kemp. 18th, the 34 of Sean Boundy. 19th, the 29 of Brennan Mercer, and rounding out the top 20 is the 48 of Kevin Linden.
Yeah, 21st was Matt Lacrosse. Christopher Hurlow, 22nd. 23rd was Chad Cole after the pit stop late in the race. 24th was Paul Fugate, and last car on the lead lap in 25th was Greg Evans. 3 laps down in 26th was Chin. He was running so strong until attacked late in the race. Brian Harvey, 27th. Shyler Brown, 28th. Nathan Little, 29th. Douglas Wyatt, 30th. Daniel Eberhardt, 31st. Jeff Ward, tough night for him, 32nd out of the race. 33rd, Sean Casto. 34th, Thomas Lattimore. And 35th, the final car that took the green flag, Anthony DeBarro. Joey English going to be credited in 36th as a DNS on tonight's race. So that is about going to wrap it up from here tonight at the Michigan International Speedway. But real quickly, Bryce, definitely a pleasure having you in the booth for the first time on the Full Throttle Cup Series. For a while, we thought it was going to be a very exciting race, but it definitely turned into that late in the show. And definitely, I'm looking forward now getting to go down just 3 races to go before this chase grid sets, and we're going to Bristol next Monday night. How can't you get excited about that?
Oh yeah, that's going to be an exciting race for sure. iRacing's done a lot of changes to Bristol over the years, and right now that Highline seems to really dominate. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do in Bristol, and hopefully they're able to keep all the excitement inside the Coliseum there.
They've said there can be sparks and there can be temp. You normally get that at the Concrete Coliseum. That's where we'll be next Monday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We return to Bristol Motor Speedway for the Ford per 200. Until then, for Bryce Whitson, executive producer Laura Lawson, and Brennan Mercer, John Abbott, and Stephen Herring at RSR, I'm Jacob Seelman for LSRTV. And you sim racing fans out there, keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we'll see you next time on the web. Congratulations to David Washington, your winner in the Irish Hills of Michigan from Brooklyn. Good night and so long.